Bon, bonjour tout le monde. Bon mardi, bon 11e jour déjà, 11e jour du Rhino Run. C'est fou à quel point ça va vite. Je ne sais pas si vous le réalisez, mais c'est quand même fou. Bientôt, on va déjà être rendu à 20, à 30, à 40, puis éventuellement, ça va être fini pour vrai. Donc, aujourd'hui, c'est Nate qui va prendre la parole pour nous parler de le pouvoir de l'intention à travers le leadership. Et encore une fois, c'est drôle parce que c'est moi qui l'ai un peu animé, c'est moi qui l'ai animé l'autre fois aussi quand il est venu, puis c'était pas mal le même genre de sujet. Mais c'est juste fou de voir à quel point les sujets qu'on donne, puis tu sais, c'est quand même voulu là, dans un sens, mais je trouve vraiment que ce qui est plaisant avec ce Rhino Run-là, c'est que les sujets qu'on donne aux gens pour animer, c'est vraiment des sujets qui fit avec les personnes. Donc, le leadership, pour moi, Nate, ça fait partie d'un grand leader. Le pouvoir de l'intention derrière, c'est quelqu'un qui accepte les gens là où ils sont, puis surtout qui accepte les gens sans jugement. Donc, c'est vraiment quelque chose de très grand en Nate. Donc, j'ai très, très hâte, comme vous, de savoir qu'est-ce qu'il va nous dire aujourd'hui. Donc, sans plus tarder, parce que je ne veux pas prendre trop de son temps, je vais lui laisser la parole sur Nate. Are you ready?
Absolutely, I'm ready. Let's do it. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Anybody drinking coffee or ketones? Or both? Okay, salut. All right. Let's get started. So, the subject today is intentional leadership, okay? Intentional leadership. Here's the big idea. You are a leader whether you're intentional about it or not. Okay, I want to say that one more time. You are a leader whether you're intentional or not. The question isn't if you're a leader or not. The question is, are you being a good leader or a bad leader, an effective leader or an ineffective one? Okay? So you may think to yourself, I'm not a leader. I just started. I don't have a big team. Well, you're leading somebody in your life, I promise you. You're leading people on this call right now by how you show up, by your level of engagement in the team, by your presence. All these little things may seem insignificant, but I'm going to talk to you about the insignificant things because I think they're very, very important. And I think those people that are really effective leaders are good at the seemingly insignificant things, right? They're good at the small things. When we see leaders, especially big ones in the company, we see their personality traits. We see these great big people online like the Jesse Lees and stuff like that. And we're like, man, I can't be that person. But what you don't see is these people are very, very good at doing the small things, about making people feel welcome. If you've ever reached out to Jesse Lee, she's going to treat you like she's a member of her own team, right? Not just a member of her own team, somebody that's very, very important in her organization. She's very, very good at making people feel welcome. She's very, very good at making people feel important. And these little things, if you can master the little things, then the big things will follow. Okay? So what we want to avoid is accidental leadership, because if you're unaware, what we want to do today is set an intention of, I'm going to be intentional about how I lead from now on. So I'm not just going to go through life pretending I'm not a leader, being unaware of the fact that I'm a leader by even just showing my face on this call, or showing up on this call, showing up in the team groups, showing up at Prove It events. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not a leader. I'm going to be aware of the fact that I am a leader by default, because my presence matters, and because when I show up, I'm leading somebody. Okay? Just that awareness right there. Now we can set the intention of, what does a good leader look like? What do the things that, what direction or what kind of influence do I want to create so that I can actually grow my leadership? Okay. There's John Maxwell has something called the law of the lid, and it is basically it's your organization will never outgrow your leadership ability. Okay, I can't remember it exactly but it's something along those lines. Your organization or your sphere of influence will never outgrow your leadership ability. If anybody remembers the exact words of the law of the lid, then you can put it in the chat, but it's something along those lines. Okay, law of the lid is you'll never get bigger than your leadership ability. It's a law. You can't outgrow your leadership ability. So it serves us to grow in leadership. Okay. Here's something that I've seen, a personal observation about network marketing. I want to share something about Mick, actually, because I thought of a good example about this. And so if you're a leader, you elevate the room. Okay. If you're a leader, your job is to elevate the room. Your job isn't to, okay, so say you're in a group of people and there's a bunch of people complaining, right? A bunch of people complaining about the world, complaining about how their business isn't doing what they want it to do, complaining about, how a customer said no to them, complaining about how their posts are not getting enough engagement on Facebook. So a leader will elevate that conversation. They'll stay solution orientated. What's the law of the lid? I'm going to pull that up here. Ed said, law of the lid, your leadership ability determines your level of effectiveness, right? And it can't go higher. That's the point. So I was in a group chat with Mick, and we had a bunch of COCs in a group chat, and there was a lady in that group chat. I'm not going to name names or anything like that. There's no point to it. But anyway, she was really talking, complaining, right? Really complaining. I can't even remember what it was about, because here's the funny thing about complaints is they're usually here today, gone tomorrow. They usually don't matter, right? What matters is the direction that you go from. So did she have a reason to complain? Probably, but it doesn't really matter, because what matters is where we're going next, right? It doesn't matter where we even currently are. And so a good leader knows how to see that and has that awareness and the ability to steer people in the right direction for a great outcome. And so this lady was complaining in there, and I think at that point she was a rank 7, and Mick and Camille had just hit rank 6, right? So if you think about it for a second, there's a lady complaining in there, and she's rank 7, so that's like triple the volume of a rank 6, right? And so does that matter in the course of leadership? I want you guys to know something right now, that rank does not determine your leadership ability. Okay, your leadership ability is determined by something independent of your achievement. Okay, that's why there's achievers and there's leaders, right? So you can be an achiever without being a leader, right? So so no matter where you're at this call, if you have a high level of achievement, low level of achievement, it serves you to grow in your leadership ability, because you're going to be that much more effective. So anyway, we're in this conversation, and she was complaining and bringing the energy down in the group. And so I can't remember exactly what Mick said, but right then and there, I knew that this guy was going places, and I knew he was going to achieve at a high level because his leadership ability was higher than the lady that was in that chat because of what he said. So he said something along the lines of, let's try to stay solution orientated. Let's try to focus on the positive. Let's shift the negative energy. I can't remember the exact words of the conversation. And it wasn't really well received by this lady, but it didn't matter, right? It didn't matter. And so sure enough, if you look at today, and Mick's achievement has far surpassed that lady, and that other lady has gone, chasing other things, which is great for her, right? And so you have to show up and not be intimidated by anybody that's around you. If you hear something negative, if you are in a negative environment, your job as a leader is to shift it to positive. And that could be at your workplace, that could be in your family, that could be with your friends. And you know what? This day and age, this culture, we really need leaders, right? We need people to step up to the plate. We live in probably the most uncertain time in human history that I remember. And John Maxwell, in his book, he says, if there wasn't uncertainty, there would be no need for leaders, right? And this is very uncertain time. So we need leaders more than ever, right? Because we can't have people stuck in circumstances right now. We need people that are solution oriented, that know how to go somewhere from here. So the second thing I want to say is, this is something else I've seen from being in the industry for a few years, watching people come and go, is that you want to grow where you're planted. Okay? You want to grow where you're planted. So you want to make sure that you're not looking for the shiny object. You're not distracted. You don't have, you're not looking for a quick way to get successful. Because usually what has to happen is you have to be planted in an organization. You have to be planted on a team for a long period of time. And too many people, we live in a day and age of distractions where things are trying to suck your energy. Things are trying to suck your time. Things are trying to pull you away from what you said that you wanted when you originally got into this. And in order to become a leader, you have to learn how to grow where you're planted. You got to stay a while. You know, I think it's Brian Underwood that says, there's someone that said it, I can't remember who. It's like people overestimate what they can achieve in 6 months, but they underestimate what they could achieve in 5 years. And give yourself some time to develop. Give yourself some time to go on this leadership journey. It takes more time than you think, but time flies. Anybody have kids? Anybody have children? True or false, they grow up pretty fast. At any stage you're at, they start growing up pretty fast. And the older children that you have, the more you realize, how many times have you said, I just remember they were just a little baby. I remember when they were Mia's age, right? And you tell other parents with younger kids, don't let the time fly by because they grow up so fast. So you're going to be doing something for the next 5 years. The question is, are you going to be doing something that grows you long-term, or are you going to be just jumping from distraction to distraction to distraction, never really staying long enough? Because I want to tell you something on here, and I want to level with you guys. I want to be completely honest with you. It's going to get hard at some point. If it hasn't yet, it will. You will hit things that are difficult. There'll be times when you want to give up. There'll be times when you feel like you need to chase something else. There'll be times when you get distracted. There'll be times when you're tempted to go somewhere because someone promises you this, or you think that you're going to make it really quickly and somehow pass the process that you have to go through anyway to be successful over there. And I want to tell you something. In those moments, it will determine whether you're going to grow as a leader, whether you're going to grow where you're planted, or you're going to spend your life trying to figure this principle out. Grow where you're planted. If you're here right now, and you're developing and you're not where you want to be, congratulations. I don't think any of us here are. I think we all want to get better. I think we all want to grow. I think we all want to move forward. And the only way to do that is by sticking together, by sticking it out, by facing the challenges, and by buying into the vision that Prove It started in the first place, right? Helping people become the best version of themselves, right? Like, that's a vision that you can get behind. Okay? Takes some time though. Here's one that I liked, and I pulled this off of the previous call because we did some Rhino Run calls before, and Sylvia dropped this gold nugget, and it's and I'm gonna piggyback on something else. It's helping your leadership. So the leaders that you do have, how are you showing up and helping them every day? How are you showing up and helping Camille and Emily and Mick? And I want to explain to you guys something, because it gets kind of weird in network marketing, because people think, oh, this person's achieving, they don't need help, but that's not the way to look at it. That's not the way that leaders look at things, right? There's a guy named Jordan Peterson, and he basically says a quote, one of his quotes in his new book, it's 12 More Rules for Life. And he says, opportunity exists where responsibility has been advocated. Okay. And I want to unpack this for a second. If you pretend for a second that this is not a Prove It team, pretend you work at a restaurant. Okay. And you show up in the restaurant and you're hired as the kitchen staff. Your job is to pick up people's dishes. This is the entry level job. This is the lowest position that you can enter in the restaurant. So you go there, and all of a sudden you notice that the chef is overrun off his feet. So then you start, even though you're not getting paid for it, or even though you're getting paid for clearing tables, you see something where you can take extra responsibility for. And so you start helping the chef, and before long you start building a relationship with the chef, and you're developing an association with this person, and all of a sudden you get hired as a kitchen assistant. So you take a step up, you get a pay raise with that. Guess why it happened? It's because you took responsibility. Before you know it, 5 years at that position, then all of a sudden the chef has to retire and he needs an apprentice. And so he apprentices you, and now you're head chef of the kitchen. Okay? And it's all because you decided to take extra responsibility. You didn't have to do it. You didn't even get paid anything extra. But you developed the mindset that said, what more can I do? What more can I take on? And if you want to be happy in life, here's something that nobody else is going to tell you. If you want to be happy in life, take the highest level of responsibility of things around you that you can. Okay? It's opposite. Everyone else is telling you to be a victim. Nothing's your responsibility. Nothing is your. If you want to be happy and fulfilled, take on more responsibility. Okay? If there's something about it that shifts your mindset. Okay? And so before you know it, this kitchen helper, he's running the whole business because he kept assuming more and more responsibility for himself because he saw places that he could. He saw places that he can contribute. He saw the team as something bigger than just him, of a movement of people that was trying to meet an outcome that if he just accepted a little bit more responsibility, he could play a bigger role. And because of that, he got rewarded for the value that he was bringing to the world. Right? And so if you want to bring value to people, take a look at what's needed. Take a look at what's needed. And that includes your leadership. Take a look at what they need. Give them a hand. Hang out with them. Use it as an excuse to build a relationship with them. Make sense? So far? So good? We'll get on the recap. So take more responsibility. Take more responsibility for your community, in your family, everywhere, okay? I'm going to close with this last one because it's a great point. And it is lead by taking action. Okay? Lead by taking action. And this is one where, I think we get a different view of leadership because we think that leaders are because we all grew up with bosses, right? Where it's like, we picture the boss as somebody just sitting in their office telling everybody what to do, ordering everybody's steps. And, that's not what a leader is. A leader is somebody that's leading from the front, right? Like we discussed before, it's taking action, taking responsibility. And that determines your level of leadership, not a position. So there's a difference between positional leadership and leading from the front. Positional leadership is where someone is placed in a position above you. It'd be like the military, right? In the military, you have somebody, and I've had good leaders and I've had bad leaders in the military, but they're only there because they're a certain rank, right? That's why the military people are there. And they don't necessarily earn that rank the way that we earn ranks and prove it. They're appointed ranks, okay? But in here, this is performance-based, right? It's a performance-based, and it's volunteer. There's nobody here that has to be on this call. There's nobody here that's going to get in any kind of trouble if you're not on this call. So everybody's here, maybe a little bit. Mick looks a little mad there. But there's nobody that's going to get in trouble if you're not on this call. You're here because you want to better yourself. You're here because you want to get better. You're here because you are doing something disruptive in the world, right? Where everybody else is kind of coasting along, complaining, not taking responsibility. You are taking your first steps. So the people I'm looking at on this call right now are taking steps towards leadership. You are. You're taking big steps towards leadership. You're doing most of the things that we talked about. You're being intentional. You're taking action. You're growing where you're planted. You're assuming more responsibility by showing up here. And so that's why, 90% of life's showing up. Do you see how that works? 90% of what we're talking about is on this paper right now, is just taking care of all the checks in the box by you just showing up. So take action. Brian James said something interesting on one of the calls. He said, what would you, like, if you want to build a team and your team did, 50% of what you do, would you be making a good income? Great question to ask. If your team did 50% of what you do in a day, would you make a good income? Great question. Lead from the front. Do more than you expect other people to do. Right? And some of you guys are at different stages in your business. Some people are starting out. Some people are, and it's okay. We've all been at every point, right? We've all been at every point. There's no point that I haven't been at. There's no point that Mick hasn't been at. And wherever you're at, it's a great start. It's a great point to be at. I want to tell you that right now. So wherever you are, you got to have a heart of gratitude right now for just where you're at, because it's a great journey if you stick it out, if you play full out, if you take action every day. And you know what? There's something contagious about taking action. And so some of you guys want to motivate some people on your team, and some of you want to attract people to your team. Guess how you do that? Action. You're taking action. People see that online. They want to be with you. They want to take action with you. They want to partner with you in your journey. Okay? Yeah, full present, being there. Exactly. And, if you want to motivate your team, bring more people on board. Bring more people on board. Sponsor more people. Do more work yourself. And guess what? They're going to want to get, when there's somebody that's really like fired up and they have the right vibration and they're really working because they love it, there's something that makes you want to work too. True or false? True. I'll just say true. It's magic. Right. Anyway, that's what I want to say today. Those are all the points I wanted to cover. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you for taking responsibility, taking action, and growing where you're planted. Okay, let's do this. Let's stick around long enough. I want you guys to stick around long enough so that we see many of you guys achieve your goals. Okay, let's do it. Let's commit to the long haul here. That's it. I'll pass it back to you, Camille.
Yes, c'était hyper bon. Thank you, Nate. It was very great. Est-ce que vous avez besoin d'un petit recap en français? Je peux me lancer avec les notes que j'ai prises. Ça ne sera pas aussi bon que Ed parce que Ed est vraiment bon, mais je pense que je peux dire mes notes et ça va être parfait. Donc, dans le fond, Nate a parlé du leadership dans le sens d'être intentionnel, mais ça ne se dit pas bien, là. Avoir de l'intention dans son leadership, on va dire comme ça. Et ce qu'il faut comprendre, en fait, c'est que tout le monde ici est déjà un leader. Que vous le vouliez ou non, vous êtes un leader. Là où est la question, c'est est-ce que vous êtes un leader positif ou un leader négatif? Donc ça, c'est vraiment une question de choix, d'attitude, de mindset, parce que considérant le fait que tout le monde est leader, c'est à nous maintenant de choisir est-ce qu'on veut être dans le positif ou dans le négatif. Ça, c'est la première chose que j'ai trouvée super intéressante. Ensuite, il nous a parlé de Jessie Lee parce que, bon, Jessie Lee, on la voit comme étant une grande leader, on la voit sur les réseaux sociaux et tout ça. Puis, tu sais, c'est facile des fois de voir des gens sur les réseaux sociaux et de se dire « Oh my God, ces gens-là sont comme incroyables, ils sont big, c'est vraiment des grands leaders. » Mais si on regarde ces leaders-là, est-ce que dans leurs petites actions du quotidien, ils sont tous des vrais leaders? Si on parle de Jessie Lee, je peux vous dire que oui, parce que dans les petites actions au quotidien, elle est capable de faire sentir les gens bien, de faire sentir les gens acceptés. Mais en réalité, est-ce que c'est tous les gens qu'on regarde qui sont comme ça? Là est la question. Donc, des fois, rentrez pas dans la game de vous comparer avec ces gens-là parce que si vous ne les connaissez pas à 100%, on peut tomber dans le panneau. Ensuite, super important quand on est un leader. Comme je le disais tantôt, vous êtes tous et chacun des leaders. Mais là, maintenant que vous êtes dans cette business-là, que vous attirez des gens, que ce soit des clients ou des promoteurs, soyez aware. Prenez conscience de votre leadership parce que vous le vouliez ou non, vous êtes un leader. Il y a des gens qui vous regardent. Même si vous n'avez pas encore d'équipe, il y a des gens qui vous regardent. Donc, c'est juste de prendre conscience. Et c'est ça la réalité de ces Rhino Run-là. C'est qu'on veut élever notre leadership. On veut élever la discussion, on veut élever la conscience. Donc, ça part vraiment de vous prendre conscience au quotidien de qui vous êtes à travers tout ça. Notre job en tant que leader, c'est d'élever la room, d'élever les gens autour de nous, d'élever la discussion et surtout d'être toujours orienté vers la discussion positive, mais aussi orienté toujours vers les solutions. Vous le savez comme moi, vous parlez à du monde dans votre vie, puis c'est vraiment une énergie très disempower là, qui enlève du pouvoir quand on est toujours orienté vers le problème. Donc, un bon leader va être orienté vers les solutions. Ensuite, une autre chose qui a mentionné par rapport au rang, parce que souvent, je vais parler pour plus vite, on a des rangs, rang 5, rang 6, rang 7, rang 8. C'est facile, encore une fois, de tomber dans le panneau puis de se dire « Ah, je n'ai pas atteint tel rang, donc je ne suis pas un leader. » Mais comme je le disais au début, on est tous et chacun des leaders. Et ce n'est pas parce que quelqu'un a un rang plus haut que toi qu'ils sont des meilleurs leaders. Okay? Le leadership, c'est en soi, puis ce n'est pas un rang qui va déterminer ça. Ensuite, il a parlé de « grow where you plant ». Ça veut dire aller là où que vous avez semé des graines, dans le sens que c'est facile d'être distrait, puis de voir tous les objets qui brillent, puis de se dire « Oh my God, je vais aller là, je vais aller là, je vais aller là, je vais aller là ». Donc, mettez un peu la façon que moi je l'ai perçu, c'est aller là où vous avez semé des graines pour pas éparpiller un peu. Oui, il faut planter plusieurs graines, mais il ne faut pas non plus en être éparpillé et se perdre à travers tout ça parce que c'est facile aujourd'hui avec les distractions qui existent de manquer de focus, de manquer de concentration et finalement pas aller là où on veut aller. Donc, faites attention à ça. Donnez-vous du temps aussi pour réussir, pour évoluer parce que souvent, on surestime ce qu'on peut accomplir sur le court terme et on sous-estime ce qu'on peut accomplir sur le long terme. Et ça part d'une journée à la fois, un pas à la fois. Et j'ai aimé aussi qu'ils disent « Guess what? Ça va être difficile des fois. » Des fois, vous allez devoir prendre du temps autre qu'en famille pour faire ce que vous faites. Des fois, il va y avoir des moments difficiles. Comme je le dis souvent, la vie va continuer d'être toujours la vie. Hein? Fait que clairement, ça va faire partie de votre réalité éventuellement. Si ce n'est pas déjà quelque chose que vous avez vécu dans votre expérience de Prove It, parce qu'il y en a que ça fait plus longtemps que d'autres qui sont là. Ensuite, une autre chose qui a parlé que j'ai trouvé super intéressante, un leader va prendre les responsabilités. Puis, tu sais, souvent, on parle du concept de l'extreme ownership, c'est un peu ça. Est-ce qu'on a tendance à être dans le côté victime de la chose, de dire que tout arrive parce que c'est comme ça, c'est la faute à ci, c'est la faute à ça, ou au contraire, on prend la responsabilité. Donc, si vous voulez être un leader puis développer votre leadership, c'est de prendre toujours la responsabilité. Puis, what more can I do? Qu'est-ce que je peux faire de plus pour aider mon monde? Oui, mon équipe, mais aussi l'équipe en tant que telle de Prove It. Et qu'est-ce qui fait qu'on se sent happy, qu'on se sent heureux et qu'on se sent accompli dans la vie? C'est quand on prend des responsabilités, c'est quand on contribue, c'est quand on do more, c'est quand on fait plus. Les fois que vous vous sentez le plus vivant dans votre vie, c'est pas les fois que vous avez du temps à l'infini puis que vous écoutez Netflix. Okay? C'est les fois que vous faites beaucoup, que vous êtes dans l'action, que vous avez parfois la langue à terre, mais vous vous sentez vraiment vivant et accompli. C'est dans ces moments-là. Okay? Ensuite, dernière chose, il a parlé de lead by taking action. Donc, on en parle souvent. Si vous voulez être un leader, vous devez commencer à vous-même être dans l'action. Donc, leading from the front, ça veut dire d'être un rhino, d'être toujours en avant, de ne pas avoir peur de briser des barrières, de ne pas avoir peur d'innover. C'est ce qu'ils font les leaders. Et si vous voulez attirer plus de gens, bien, faites plus d'actions. Donc, si vous voulez plus de clients, plus d'actions. Si vous voulez avoir plus de promoteurs, plus d'actions. Si vous voulez avoir plus de monde, si vous voulez grandir votre équipe, il va falloir faire des actions. Donc, voilà, c'est mon recap. Est-ce que c'est clair? Quand même pas pire, hein? J'ai pris beaucoup de notes parce que je me disais, si je fais le recap, il faut que je sois capable de faire un bon recap. Donc voilà, c'était mon résumé du jour. Donc, le call to action. Do we have a call to action, Nate? Call to action. Do you have one?
Yes, your call to action is to reach out to somebody that's been a leader in your life and tell them how grateful you are for them.
Good. Donc, le call to action, c'est de reach out, c'est de parler, aller parler à quelqu'un, c'est ça que ça veut dire, à un leader, en fait, dans votre vie que vous êtes très reconnaissant d'avoir justement dans votre vie. C'est pas nécessairement, si c'est dans Prove It, c'est tant mieux. Ça peut être un leader que vous avez dans votre vie, pas obligé d'être dans la business, vous comprenez? Puis allez leur dire merci pour tout ce qu'ils ont fait pour vous. Donc voilà. Merci à ceux et celles qui écoutaient la reprise. On va prendre les questions.